highly anticipated balance patch is finally here. It feels like forever since we've gotten a good, solid, impactful balance patch that changed the game in a meaningful way, and the whole community was very happy about. I don't think we've ever got a balance patch that the whole community was happy about, but we do have a new balance patch. I glanced over the beginning of this. It didn't look very exciting, but let's hope that the end of this is much more exciting, much more impactful. There's some nerfs at the beginning of this, so let's get it started, and hopefully this is so much better than the couple things that I glanced over at the beginning. Okay, skill balancing of some monsters will be adjusted. I don't know why I'm reading that. That's pretty obvious. The Dark Mage Start of Pain passive absorbs the enemy's HP by 5% up to 10%, is now 4% up to 8%. Oh, guys, this is a crazy balance patch. This is a crazy game change. Not that everything in a balance patch, let me just say this, not that everything in a balance patch needs to be crazy and impactful. Sometimes things need to get nerfed. Sometimes things need to get slightly modified. It's just the beginning of the patch. Having a 1% change to an LD5 is like, okay. I mean, this is a very strong unit. For me personally, anytime I have to fight this, it's ridiculous, crazy, very impactful. Wins the game so easily by just every debuff on my team. Beast Rider, Fire Beast Rider, Masha, increase attack speed by 15%, is now increases your attack speed by 10%. I don't think that's really the reason that people used Masha. It's the fact that she's basically got 2 lives. She does some good damage, and then she has constant immunity at all times in beast form. So that's really the thing. This is just I think this is a fair nerf, this seems like. I'm sure people will disagree with me as usual, but I think that that's a fair modification. On MUG, Water and Light, past life spell, target ally including yourself is now excluding yourself. So you can no longer select yourself when using this skill 2, which is the revive in the, what is the actual term they call it? I guess it doesn't really matter what the term is that they call it, but it's the revive, and then they go back to the shadow realm or whatever. She was decreasing the cooldowns on herself quite a substantial amount, and she would just get her skill 3 so often as long as she procced, which in my opinion she always seems to proc, or in my experience she always seems to proc. But I feel that that's fair for in terms of me. I think that that's an impactful change to her. I know that people that use her in like every match are not going to be happy with that at all. I cannot imagine that they are happy with that. Light on Miyuji, Yin Yang 5 elements. This is her passive. The ally recovers the HP by 10%, is now 15%. I don't ever fight this as much. The one time I fought this, I forgot that this got buffed a couple patches ago, and I was like, oh, everyone healed up. I forgot that that was a thing. Okay, maybe I should remember that. Moving forward, I fight this thing maybe once a month, if that. I feel like I never fight this, so maybe the buff, maybe that's why I needed a buff, right? So there we go. We have a buff to the heal with her passive. Water and Light Ryu. This is now, because they buffed this to make up for the fact that they buffed the robos, absorbs the attack bar of all enemies randomly between 10% to 20%, is now 10% to 15% with a 30% chance, because it was a little ridiculous. This thing has been used in, Water Ryu has been used in 60, last I checked, could be 55 at this point, I don't know. Last I checked, it was 60% of RTA matches. 60%! I was literally the other day, I'm like, every single player is picking Water Ryu first, which is something I do as well. Not gonna say that I don't do it, but it's a strong unit. It's good for turn 1, it's good for turn 2. It's a strong unit, especially after the buff. He really didn't need a buff, because he did other stuff instead of just the strip and attack gauge absorb. He did other stuff too in his kit. So, but Comchoice was like, let's buff him because Robos got buffed. Fire Can Shadow Claw, it's the same, basically the same thing for this skill 2. Dark Ryu Striker, 5th and 6th hits increase the duration of harmful effects granted on all enemies by 1 turn each. It was a fun one, especially with a whole some crazy debuffers, right? So now it is only going to increase duration on the 6th hit. 5th hit is going to remove 1 beneficial effect. I wonder if this is going to be, I mean, it's definitely going to be less toxic. Like, you can come back from after this, but this is also going to be nice to remove a beneficial effect as well. I don't think that Dark Ryu owners are going to be very happy with this, though. But I guess I'll let them chime in because they own the unit. I don't own the unit, so they would have more to say than I do about that. Druid, Water Druid, Wild Cure. I didn't even notice this one. Okay. Skill activation condition change. Increases the attack bar of all allies by 15%. Only when used during Druid form. Is now increases the attack bar of all allies by 15%, even when used during Beast form. Okay. Druid Fire, Wild Roar. Weakens defense of all enemies for 2 turns when used during Druid form. Is now even in Beast form as well. Okay. This is my commentary on this, guys. It's okay. Guys, this is gonna change the match. Okay, it's just used in Beast form too. I got it. Fire Druid's proficiency absorbs the enemy's attack bar by 15%. Is now 25% when you attack on your turn. I keep forgetting that he actually does this. Not gonna lie, I keep forgetting that he actually does this. Wind Druid, Forest. So they buffed all the Druids. We're gonna get to the Light Druid. It's gonna be like, and they nerfed this one. Increased defense of all allies for 3 turns. Only when used during Druid form. Is now when used during Beast form. Surprise. Light Druid, Rage of Mother Nature. This is the one I really care about. Shh. This is the one I care about. Increases all enemies' chance of landing glancing hit for 2 turns. Is now... I don't know why I thought this was going to be not the same thing. Oh, I'm going back to bed, guys. I'm going back to bed. Light Druid, it's just the same as the Beast form is human form and whatever. Light Druid, Druid's agility passive, counterattacks a target that attacked you with 50% chance is now 40% chance when you get attacked. As someone that abuses that unit on my Europe server account, I feel like that's fair. That's probably fair. Dark Druid, Druid's Wisdom. I wonder if this gets a meaningful buff. Increase attack bar by 20% when you get granted with inability effects. Because he's kind of, ever since Hathor stopped being, I mean, significantly useless, he has been useless as well. I used to see him so often, I don't really see him very much anymore. I can't remember the last time I fought against this guy. Whereas the Light Druid is just all the time. So, oh, the battery's already exhausted. Let's continue. I think we're on the Dark Druid. We're talking about the Dark Druid. It's the same as in Beast form as in Druid form now, just like with the rest of the Druids. Fire Shadowcaster, Destructive Shadow. Shadow protects you for 1 turn after using the skill, which is the same. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Water one, where he goes into his Shadow Protection state. Now it's going to be the same one for this one as well. Remember, he's got 120 base speed, so he was used a lot when he first came out. Swift, trying to steal turn 1 and hope your opponent isn't on will runes, but I think after the first couple weeks, we were like, okay, we know if you picking him, we know what's happening. Wind Shadowcaster, Frantic Chaos is now removes 1 beneficial effect from all enemies, is now removes all beneficial effects from all enemies. I think people are still going to want some like attack gauge pushback or absorb or attack bar increase of your team or something like that. I think people would still prefer the Wind Robo. I just don't see a reason that I wouldn't want to use the Wind Robo or Triton or Tiana or something else in that place. I still don't think that that Wind Shadowcaster gets used. Wind Shadowcaster Shadow Tiger. Oh, wait a second. Effect add, increase your attack bar by 100% after using the skill. Max cooldown time increased because, of course, he's getting an extra turn, so it's basically just keeping it the same for the most part. Interesting. I wonder if maybe I'm going to go back on what I just said based on that. Probably not, but maybe. I guess we'll see. Wind Sky Surfer, Mega Impulse Gun. Effect removed. Increases damage dealt to the enemy by 10% each, up to 50% whenever you use Mega Impulse Gun. There's going to be some issues with people having a harder time fighting the things that are already good against him, like Kinky and Douglas. So, yeah, I could see this being kind of an issue here. But I don't think he really ever needed that. I would have thought that would be the first thing to go before the last change. They just keep nerfing Oliver. They're like, are people still using Oliver? People have gotten better at countering Oliver though. So I don't think his win rate is crazy. He has a 33% speed lead. So they buff him with 3 buffs and then they slowly take those buffs away. They're going to take the speed lead away next just to get him back to his former self. As soon as they take the speed lead away, then he's just not going to be used. If they were to, they're not going to. They're not going to. I don't think they've ever taken a speed lead away from you. Have they? Maybe they have. They changed leader skills. So maybe they did that inadvertently by changing leader skills. I don't know. I don't remember them taking speed leads away. Anyway, let's continue. Light Sky Surfer, Quantum Explosion, stuns all enemies for 1 turn with a 50% chance. Effect added. That's the one that's big damage based on the amount that the attack gauge decrease is, I believe. Water Ifrit, another Theomars buff. Elemental King passive. Okay, increase your attack power for 2 turns when you receive fatal attacks. It's a Guild Siege buff. It's a Guild Siege buff. Oh my god. Okay. That's a good buff for him. It's a Guild Siege defense. I was not hoping for a Guild Siege defense buff. He's going to be in Siege defense. I mean, he's already in Guild Siege defense, but there we go. Guild Siege defense buff. Wind and Dark Ifrit. See, I didn't see this these Ifrit buffs. Decrease the guy because I just glanced at the beginning. So, decrease the attack power of the target enemy immune to stun by 50% is now decrease the attack power of the target by 50% if the target is not stunned after attacking. Okay. It's kind of nice little buff there. Phoenix Wind Tempest passive cooldown decreased 5 turns to 4 turns. I don't think that it changes anything, honestly. I think this is completely irrelevant. It feels completely irrelevant. Maybe if you guys disagree. If you guys disagree with me, I know that I have been doing this for almost 9 years. I know that you guys will tell me if you guys disagree. I don't have to ask you if you disagree. You will give that information willingly. Skill change. Wind Weapon Master. Attack additionally dealing damage to 200% of your attack power when attacking the enemy on your turn. Attack absorbs the enemy's attack bar by 30% if the enemy's HP. So this is... Oh my... What a nerf. Okay, it increases the damage by 100% if your HP exceeds 50%. So, his extra additional damage is now only 100% of your attack power. So, just out the box, big nerf. However, does also get a buff, increases the damage by 100% if your HP exceeds 50%. So it kind of gets the buff back as long as your HP exceeds 50%. And then also there's the not attack bar absorb. Ooh. This is something I feel like we gotta play with to see. I had to pause the video here. I wanted to make sure I was reading this correctly, which I think is just translated wrong. The Light Weapon Master Final Strike passive deals damage that ignores defense, is now resists death if the target enemy's HP is at 30% or below, which is kind of confusing. I think it is going to ignore the death prevention mechanics, like for example, Huadam, if the enemy's HP is 30% or below, it's just going to go through some of those, or it's going to go through all, just some of the resist death effects. It's going to go through that. So I think we'll get a clarification in a bit on this, like a modified balance patch, whatever. Effect added additional attack will always deal damage that ignores defense. The damage that ignores defense will be adjusted as the condition has been removed. So this should be really nice. We'll see what exactly they mean, but I assume that that's what they mean. Ginger Brave Lollipop Warrior is now increase the enemy's skill cooldown by 2 turns. That's going to be kind of nice, because they can violent proc. Well, they can still, depending on the scenario, they could still violent proc out of the 2 turns. But this is great. He's got such crazy high base speed. So, that's really nice. Hollyberry, Macaron Guard, all of them. She'll, turn 1? Turn 1. Skill 1. Skill 1. Provokes with a 50% chance is now decreased defense for 2 turns with a 40% chance. I always like the decreased defense. Well, provoke is kind of nice though, for turn 1 though. But decrease defense for 2 turns is pretty nice. I don't know what goes up to after the changes in the skill ups. So I guess we can see now, but I'm too lazy. I'm sorry. I'm not that sorry. Fire Hollyberry. Effect, add your attack speed decreases by 20% until the next turn starts, kind of like the String Masters. Wind Hollyberry. Cries of you. This one's not even bad. It's just like there's better units, so people are just using those. I think any unit that's like a turn 2 like bruiser type of support kind of thing needs some kind of passive to be relevant, or I don't know. Let's just read the skills. How about that? Creates a shield portion to the caster's max HP, is now proportionate to their defense. Is that I feel like that's a nerf. I mean, I guess we'll see what they want us to ruin things for defense, but they bring all of these mechanics that make defense units weak, and then they're like, by the way, ruin it for defense. It's like, but you make defense units weak. Why would we ruin it to be worse? Okay, so Hollyberry Cookie, the light one, the passive. Each attack recovers the HP of all allies by 30% of the damage dealt. I don't think that's going to be enough to make her... My girlfriend actually summoned that unit like a month ago on stream. I don't think that's good. Well, I don't think she even built it. I don't know if that's going to be enough to be relevant. I guess we'll see, but it doesn't feel like it. That's the case with many units in many balance patches. Let's see what else. Hollyberry Cookie, Water and Dark, Sound the Charge, Justice of Desert. I felt like this was going to be buffed eventually anyway. I'm like, it just doesn't do any... It doesn't do that much. Not that it's unusable. Just I was like, it feels like something that's going to get more added to it later. So now it is removes one harmful effect granted on all allies, increase their attack bar by 15% each. It now increases your defense for 3 turns, becomes immune to harmful effects for 3 turns, instantly recovers a turn afterwards. I like this one better, but it really is situational. Interesting. They really want to make her a bruiser. They're like, she needs to buff defense, break the enemies, do big damage. I mean, I already have her on range, but I was just goofing around as usual. Story of my life. Water Espresso Cookie grinding is now, and then also the Black Tea Bunny. I'm just, you know, if the enemy's attack bar is 0, you're guaranteed to freeze the target. Ignores resistance. I like things that ignore resistance because I like to put a lot of accuracy on things, and I always get butthurt when it doesn't work. So things that just guarantee anything makes me happy. Even though it's not anything crazy, but... and then we have the Wind and Dark ones. If the enemy's attack bar is 0, you're guaranteed a stun. Oh, it's the same, basically the same thing. Espresso Cookie, Fire and Light. Extraction. HP loss in proportion to the enemy's reduced attack bar is now going to be 40%, up to 10% if it's a boss. I like this skill more than I thought that I would, because it is pure damage. It's just like you reduce the attack bar, and then they take damage, and it doesn't have to go through calculate. Like, oh, they had a defense buff, they didn't have a defense break. So then I didn't think that I would like this skill as much as I do. So that's nice. Espresso Cookie, Dark 1, Blending. Attacks all enemies, evens out the ratio of HP and attack bar afterwards. Is now evens out the ratio of all enemies' HP and attack bar, and then attacks them after that. Would I care substantially about that? I mean, it's a buff, but is it like substantial? I don't think it's really substantial. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm kidding myself. I don't know. Sylphid, Fire Sylphid. Okay, let's see what kind of buff they give the Fire Sylphid. From decrease the enemy's attack bar by 25% when you're attacking. Now decrease the effects of skills that decrease the attack bar of your allies by 20%. Decrease the effects of skills that decrease the... So if your enemy is going up against you, and they're bringing the Wind Robo, the Water Striker, things like that, that decrease the attack bar of all... Chiwu, Triton, all of those things, is now... This could be a unit that is more useful against those kind of openers. Then we have another Fire Sylphid, but they really want the Fire Sylphid to be used. Increase the attack bar of all allies by 25%. Is now recovers the HP of all allies by 25%. This was a fun skill, especially if you put this on Swift and your opponents didn't see it coming. This was kind of fun because it would just increase the attack bar of your allies, and then they would take turns. But now it's going. I mean, this makes more sense for what they want it to be used as a turn 2 unit. But man, that was fun. That was fun doing that. All right. My opinion doesn't matter on this because I'm partial to the other way. Because I like playing the way that it wasn't intended. So, I really can't complain. This is probably a buff, I suppose. For me, it looks like a nerf, but it's probably a buff in the long term. Horus, Desert Wind, skill cooldown time decreased. Okay, not gonna make the units used more. It's just people are going to win a little bit more with them because they have that access to the speed scaling skill 2 with that. And these units are generally built very fast as well, especially if you're Math Plus Games. Shout out to Math Plus Games, who doesn't even play Summoners. He's doing things, actual things with his life now. It's crazy. Tip of the Spear, Dark Horus, passive. Effect added, each attack removes one beneficial effect from the enemy with a 30% chance. Man, I was so excited when it was like, each attack, so he cuts in, and then he strips and decreases the attack age of the enemy. It's like, no, it's a 30% chance. I mean, it's still not bad. That's extra goodies for him. I'll take it. 30% chance, but I'll take it. Maybe they'll increase it later. That would be potentially nasty. Oh, that's gonna be so nasty. That could be nasty if they increase it. Is what I mean. Wind Mermaid, Crushed Hopes. That's her skill 3. Increases the skill cooldown of the enemy by 1 turn, is now 2 turns. So they can't even violent Brock out and be like, oh, I got an extra turn anyway. I did my skill anyway. Haha. Because that's what all the monsters in Summoner's War sound like, obviously. Aside from Malaka, which we already know that. So this is a, what is it, 110 base speed unit, the Wind Mermaid. So this is something that people were putting Swift Runes on, getting turn 1. I think that they're going to really enjoy that. I think that this is, because it seems like, oh, it's 1 turn is now 2 turns. It doesn't seem very impactful. It's not the same thing as the 1% is now 2%, or 5% is now 4%. This is, they can't violent proc out of this in RTA. They can't be like, oh, I got an extra turn anyway, it doesn't matter. So this is, they can still violent proc out in Guild Wars and Guild Siege, and we're done. And that's the whole balance patch. Oh man, leader skills of some monsters will be adjusted. Okay. Oh wow. Oh, this is the biggest thing in the entire balance patch. Hold on. Fire Puree is now attack speed lead. This is the biggest thing in the entire balance patch right here. What the hell? These 2 leader skill changes is the biggest thing. Increases resistance, now increases attack speed. You can bring her in, put her on Swift. You don't need a speed lead and her on Swift. You just bring that 1 unit. That is already useful. That is already the best thing in the entire... Is that the best thing in the entire balance patch? Depends on who you ask, I suppose. That feels like the best thing in the entire balance patch. That's the best thing in the entire... I'm just calling it. I'm calling it. That's the best thing in the entire balance patch. Is the resistance and accuracy. They're not even real stats anyway. Let me see the code. Comtras, let me see. They're like, no, we're not going to let you see the code. Ever. This is huge. So I do actually think that I like to use Julie in Guild Siege every so often. And I'm always like, oh, I need an attack power leader skill. So I'm like trying to put other things in there to get an attack power leader skill in the mix. And this is just going to allow Julie, Megan Lucian, Julie Bassett Lucian, whatever, in Guild Siege. And you have an attack power leader skill now. This is great. Both of these leader skills are great. This is the best thing in the entire balance patch. I'm trying to think of what else is better than that. Like, that's the best thing in the entire balance patch. Skill AI. Right. Skill AI of some monsters will be improved. Sure, Countess. And then skill errors. And that's it. And that's the whole balance patch. So final verdict, they're balancing things. They're trying to take a very soft, gentle approach to balancing things, which is fine, I suppose. But in terms of, like, keeping player base interested and excited, this is not going to keep the player base interested and excited. Like, we just finished talking about it. I already forgot most of it, except for, like, the purees. There's some puree things. There's some druid things. They nerfed Freya. In my opinion, for my usage, they nerfed Freya. And then this is a puree. Like, the purees are the only things that I really care about to a noticeable degree. Well, no. Shizuka. That's going to be a noticeable improvement. That's going to be, yeah. It doesn't feel like these hollyberry cookies are not like, wow, I'm going to use them all the time now. I'm just like, wow, I'm not going to use any differently now. I'm just not going to use now. Just the same as before. So anyway, yeah, I just don't think that this is what... They're taking a very gentle approach to balancing. I just don't think that this is what was needed to keep the player base entertained and excited and motivated to continue playing. Maybe that's somehow their strategy and they feel like that's a good strategy. I don't know, but I just don't think that their intentions and the players' intentions are aligned. I mean, for a lot of the history They haven't been quite aligned, of course, we know that, but I think it's just even further away. Like, the player's like, we want this, and Comptro's like, no, 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 this and not anything of that. Not anything of what you guys want. So, it's not looking great. But anyway, we got puree buffs. So there's that. Anyway, that's it for this one. See you as always. Sorry it's so late. I checked last night before I went to bed, and there was nothing, and then I went to bed, and then they must have just posted it after I went to bed. But anyway, that's it for this one. See you as always in the next one.